marry me. So I'm going to do another tarot card review. This time it is the Tarot of Gemstones and Crystals, and it is published by AGM Agmuller. Those guys. Down there. Let me see if the camera can properly pick it up. There we go. So what's this? Well, it's a kind of an oddball deck. Let me show you. It's basically a tarot deck where the pictures are pictures of various forms of gemstones. Now, like most of these decks, it comes with a little white book. And this time it comes with a this is fairly thick for the little white book variety, which gives you the basics of the deck, and basically it has an introduction, some basic symbolism, some basic layouts, some information on what the stones correspond to the various tarot cards. Of course, information on the cards. And yes, cards. And basically this one is pretty useful. It is, as I say, gemstones and metals in alphabetical order with their related tarot symbols. This is a good piece of correspondence that can be used for all kinds of spell work. And a bit of how to arrange gemstones with the chakras. So yeah, it's a fairly substantial for a little white book, but it's what it is. It's a little white booklet that comes with a tarot card. You can't expect too much of it. It's not like a book set, but it has a layout, it has information on the cards, and it has a bit of extra information that can be very useful. Now, let's get to the cards themselves. They are, like I said, pictures of gemstones with the name of the card down there. And here's one of the major arcana cards, the Hermit, which is lapis lazuli. Now, how well, basically a deck like this stands and falls on how well does the symbolism of the tarot fit with the corresponding stone. And I will say the deck is a bit hit and miss, but for the most part I can sort of understand what they are going for, and I can say that if you do some gemstone divination, then you might have a use of this deck. However, you have to be fairly well versed in stone lore to really use this deck, because that's all it is. It's pictures of stones. So unless you have a fairly good grasp of lapis lazuli and what it stands for, its history and so on, it won't really make any sense for you why it's the Hermit. Now, as for the card's quality, it's not nothing extremely impressive, but it isn't too flimsy either. It's mid-range, but I can't complain. The quality of the pictures is leaves something to be lacking. Basically, this is a photo deck. It bases itself on photographs, and it just doesn't have good enough picture quality for that. These stones are gorgeous, and that doesn't really show. It looks like the pictures has been taken with a relatively cheap and by modern standards digital camera, and then just printed onto okay but not exactly good quality cardstock. That's what it looks like. The back of it is extremely boring, it's just this turquoise. So the quality of the pictures and so on feels a bit phoned in, which is a bit of a disappointment, for the Little White Book is quite good for, well, Little White Book. Of course, like with all decks, I can't show you all the cards because then we will be here until tomorrow. But if you like Gemstones, I mean, the pictures are pretty like this. If you like that star, which is all the white. But yeah, I've been interested in photo decks because I have been is in the planning stages of making my own deck, basically novelty deck based on hair buns, because, well, like I have told you before, I have a lot of hair and do a lot of buns, and doing weaving symbolism into hair buns and making a deck out of it, as a novelty deck, of course. And therefore I've been sort of interested in photo decks. I've been talking with a few people on the net about that deck idea of mine. And really, this isn't good enough. The pictures are grainy, and that ruins what could have been a very interesting tool. Now, do I think this deck has some value? Yes. I think that if you're a tarot deck collector, then this is definitely an oddity you might want. Yes, the moon with, of course, moonstone. So yeah, but there are also things like, for example, here we have moss agate for swords. I don't really see the symbolism of that. Moss agate is basically a universal healer, but yeah, I won't claim to know everything about these stones. Basically, if you are a tarot deck collector, you might want it because it's an oddity. If you, like me, use both crystal healing and tarot quite a bit, it's an interesting crossover tool, and you might the deck might inspire you to think about stones in a new way and ascribe to it more than surface symbolism and correspondences. And of course, looking at pretty stones is always nice, even when the picture quality isn't that great. But all in all, I would classify this deck as an interesting idea that never quite got it in the execution. Basically, if they had used better quality pictures, made the backs a little less phoned in, had some nice decor there, and matched it up better in some cases with the symbolism of the tarot, then this could have been a really useful tool. As it is now, it's nice as a curiosity. It's nice to make you, basically, to get you onto the idea of combining stone lore with the tarot. But other than that, it isn't really that useful. And like I said, and I think it needs repeating, is you need to have a fair degree of stone lore, know your stones, to have any use of these cards at all, because while the Little White booklet is somewhat extensive, it doesn't go into enough detail. Of course, you could go just by intuition. However, I feel that the pictures just isn't good enough quality for that to be easily done. So yeah, I think I will classify this as a great idea, but do a bit more effort the next time. So yeah, what I would give this deck is probably 5 out of 10. It isn't terrible. You can use it to divine with it. It has an interesting idea, and it's a fun little tool if you do both crystal healing and work with the tarot. But it's just so poor quality, and yeah, if I had got my wish with designing such a deck like this, or if I were the one producing it, I would have made this a boxed set. I would have had a big book with information on the cards and on the stones and how the symbolism could be combined and all of that, and make sure I definitely match the stone correspondences up with the tarot symbolism, and I would use the best quality cardstock I can find and pretty good quality pictures, or there really isn't much point in it. So yeah, idea good, execution not so much. And that's my review of the Tarot of Gemstones and Crystals by IGM Agmuller. It's a nice curiosity, but other than that, not so much. So have a great day and blessed be.